A very warm welcome to all of you. We always say that if you have a customer, you are in business. Not that when you have a product, you are in business. The customer comes before the product.
So marketing is not only science, marketing is art, marketing is psychology. But most importantly, marketing is a lot of common sense.
Marketers need to understand that the customer is changing, need to understand how they will change, how they are and they would be changing. However, they would need to be very, very conscious that the constancy of purpose, the constancy of the imagery that one needs to portray also has to be retained.
We are seeing over the past few years a heavy insurgence of the new companies which are coming, the new ideas which are coming, because these days now funding is no longer a problem. Like one of my previous speaker has also mentioned. If you have a brilliant idea, if you have a very good business case, you will not find any problem in terms of getting the money, be it in terms of VC, be it in terms of angel investors and whatnot. So as a result of these two, we are seeing that people are not shying away from taking new ideas, trying to implement that. And I've also seen, somebody who is a budding entrepreneur also from amongst us who wants to open her own fashion retail kind of things. We are seeing those cases now. All right. What it also means is that where the disruption is coming in terms of behavior of the customers.
15 years back, just 15 odd years back, let's look at first of all, advertising guys always talk with metaphors. We do storytelling constantly, so I think we'll try and make it a little more lively. So imagine a drawing room 15 years back. So what do you see? You see the entire family and the extended family together, watching one content on television. Cross to today's Sunday morning, in the trim drawing room, you see the wife possibly chopping vegetables, looking at the television, the husband wrapping up the laptop, the presentation in the laptop, the daughter inevitably WhatsApping, and the son gaming away to glory. So the question that Bishop has to address is, now for media it's become 4 times more expensive to talk to the same family.
One of the first things which often people ask is that, why am I not able to connect with exactly who I want to connect with? And I feel that the answer is that you really don't know whom you want to sell to. Often people confuse their entire market domain. People are not sure, see, I have a good product, I have a bottle of Bisleri, but whom do I want to sell it to? So one of the first things which people need to do, or any proper marketing agency should do, is understand who is your customer, who is it that you want to sell to. Everybody is not your customer, and often people say, oh, everybody is a customer. No, everybody is not a customer.
Today, I am proud to say that most of my business are family individual travelers. And for a family individual traveler, I have a mix of both the crowd. I have a current crowd who is very savvy on mobiles and internet and information on Make My Trip and online portals. At the same time, I have older generation who would like to have a contact with me. Eye-to-eye contact, the information to information contact. They would like to sit with me. They have to sit in front and understand where is the place. So this puts me in a very beautiful question, Sometimes guests ask me, how is the hotel? So I say, it's a very nice hotel, sir, madam. Kaun sa star hai? Now this star is like a catch line in the hotel industry nowadays. 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, 7-star, superstar, whatever.
The orthodox way of doing business, the earlier way of doing business, what we have done or our forefathers have done. The definition is business. In an X period of time, the in has to be more than the out. If it is not so, rediscover, innovate the theories in which you can get this business situation. But in modern times, we hear a lot about buzzword called startup businesses, where the principal theory is absolutely different. The margins are thin, sometimes they are negative, and the volume has to be higher. And the basic theory is absolutely reverse, that out has to be more than in. And how you tackle this is by doing a cultural, habitual change in the life practices of the consumers. You try to suffice the needs of the customer, convenience.
The challenge was to connect with the youngsters who actually got married. Everybody in this room, despite being from the media industry, knows that newspaper readership is not going northwards. And particularly when it comes to youngsters. A youngster's day starts with checking out his WhatsApp message. He or she does not go through a newspaper. So how should we engage with them? Now I was going through the few presentations prior to me, everybody bashed up social media. But my experience with social media is not that good, not that bad. In fact, it's quite good enough. Now, in order to handle social media, I would request people who are handling social media that please do not treat that it's your online salesperson. Sales will not happen through social media. It's a kind of long-term influence which you continually do, and people, and if you're good enough, people will share you. On a base of around 1.5 lakh fans, my weekly reach is almost 10 times. I am a commercial for Facebook page.
We saw all the presentations. One thing in common that I saw was that all of us are putting a lot of brains into marketing, right? As in it's almost like playing with the consumer's mind. So in this phase where we're trying to play with the consumer's mind, how important or how relevant do you think genuine marketing, without playing with the consumer's mind, how important or how relevant is genuine marketing an aspect to the whole thing? Genuinely marketing the product rather than playing with the minds of the consumer.
Can you just explain what is genuine marketing?
Right. So how I see it is that, say, how a marketing brain would work, say how a marketing manager's brain would work is, say, for that example, specific example in, say, Cadbury's ad itself, say, a person assumed that, we need to play with the consumer's mind, where we need to tell him why, say, Cadbury is also important for an elderly person. So how much of that is fabrication and how much of that is genuine? Does genuine marketing works better, or does more of fabrication into the whole thing works better?
Your question is marketing by design or is marketing by default? Is that your question?
Yes.
Anybody from marketing answer this?
Honestly, this is the first time in all my years I've heard the word genuine marketing. Right? I don't know if they have heard before, but Philip Kotler.
Genuine guys.
We've all read Philip Kotler. I don't think even he coined this term genuine marketing. So I can give you a very simple example just to make you understand something. Marketing is a fight for mind space, right? Coke, Pepsi are spending billions of dollars that when you feel thirsty, you call their name first. It's a mind space.
Dove. I love that brand. How many women in this room? Quite a few. Okay. How many women actually truly believe, and this is important, truly believe that you are beautiful? Please stand up, come in front of me.
Congratulations. Let me shake your hand. Congrats. Brilliant.
No, nobody has to be coaxed. You have to truly believe that you are beautiful. Okay, these two women represent 2% of women in the world who actually genuinely believe that they are beautiful. Baki 98% believe that they are not ugly, but they're okay or they're average. So therefore Dove, in its core, says that beauty is for confidence, not for anxiety. I have an ad here which I wanted to play, and Dove is my favorite example, Dove Beauty Sketches. Dove has been consistently fighting for beauty and personality, which is inner beauty, as opposed to cosmetic beauty. So the inner purpose, the core of Dove remains beauty, which is inner beauty, which always radiates. And not about the cosmetic, the model-like, the Photoshop. And Dove is waging war in Europe, in US, on this platform of inner beauty. There's so much of talk, and they're walking the walk. They're just not talking. You have the Dove Fund, which actually goes and sponsors women to make them more confident as social beings. So this is a great, and always remember the core has to be not only genuine, has to be consistent. You cannot be frivolous. Dettol is about protection, right? Nike is about inspiration. Tomorrow I cannot say Nike is not about inspiration. It's always about inspiration. I cannot tweak the core. Then I've died. Coke is about happiness, right? Apple is about transformation. So how can you change the core?
I appreciate your input regarding this, but then finally Dove, whatever is doing, is finally churning out money by the sales of Dove. It is as simple as that. I mean, the inner feelings are produced to sell what is external. That's what I understand.
So but then the core purpose
of
business is to make money.
Yeah, that's it.
It's to maximize your shareholders.
So it is very simple, dear. It is very simple. That whatever you project, whatever you do, and whatever you gain out of it is the result of your marketing. Whether it is genuine, non-genuine, since you are doing business, the purpose is very simple.
I have something to add. Maybe few years back, it was very easy that you do, in your words, an ingenuine marketing and make money. It's not possible anymore. Because with social media so strong, people will take your pants off. If you do, you can fool a people for few years. You cannot fool them continuously.
When I started real estate business some 30 years back, and before that also I had some kind of an exposure to real estate business. It was actually virtually a seller's market. We really could sell flats based on Xerox copies of the plan. There was no company made any brochure of the company or the project. In fact, we didn't want to even put a hoarding on the site, giving the numbers. We were in fact instructing our security guard not to give our number to anybody who's coming there. Virtually, we were building a wall between us and the buyer, because we were scared that, if we give our telephone number to a person on to the security guard, wrong kind of people will come.
If you talk to a real estate person today, 90% of them are going to talk about the gloom and doom of the industry. I'm going to sit here and be extremely optimistic. I'm really happy. I had my education in the States and I moved back a couple of years ago. And when I first entered the real estate industry, I'm like, क्या कर रहे हैं? जमीन का काम है, किससे कैसे बात करेगा? I didn't understand how I was going to work in this environment, but it has possibly been one of the most wonderful experiences for me, purely because in the previous generation, to buy a home, maybe if you turn 50, 60, you had gotten a stable job, made a lot of money finally and saved something away, you could have hoped to own your own home. In the course of the last decade, that entire environment has completely changed. The homeowner, the home buyer, is closer to my age than uncle's age, to be very frank and honest with you. And effectively, I'm marketing to people of my own generation. In our environment, over the course of the last couple of years, there is a tremendous oversupply. There's a tremendous oversupply of product in all segments. And every developer is saying anything and everything that they possibly can in a hope to possibly sell a flat. अरे माल बिक जाए, कुछ भी हो, माल बिक जाए, बाद में देखा जाएगा डिलीवरी कैसे होएगा. The basics are really important, of course. First, the product has to be good, okay? And after that, to realize that the audience is young, just to give you a basic metric, July 2015, 175 million internet users in India. July 2016, 371 million internet users. In 1 year, we've grown by 200 million internet users in the country. Okay, and most of these folks are again the young people. All right. So the way you go and talk to them, the methodology in which you speak to them has to be completely different. One of the things that we've been noticing is that incredible lack of transparency in the real estate industry. You know, we have a product, we are doing construction, there's a problem, there might be a delay, don't say anything. Damage control, spin. In the course of the last 3-4 years, we launched a project. We actually took over a distressed project called Keppel Megis in Rajarhat. When we were launching the project, I remember the discussion that we were having. अरे यार ये एलिटा गार्डन विस्टा प्रोजेक्ट का नाम है, इसको लॉन्च करेंगे मार्केट में तो नेगेटिव रिएक्शन होएगा क्योंकि ये तो प्रोजेक्ट में बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स आए थे. January to July of 2014 we sold 5 flats, means the erstwhile owners had sold 5 flats. We said चलिए ठीक है, let's take a different approach of how we go and sell this. We launched it in September after a little bit of value engineering. In 1 month we sold 100. Every month since then we've sold 15. And we are now at 376 flats sold. So I don't have the gloom and doom. I'm speaking from perspective of explaining how we are trying to market this. It's purely data driven. If sir gives me an opportunity, I would like to show you some graphs and pictures and charts in terms of how we've done this. And you know, it's very, very exciting times moving forward. The thing is that we don't build our brand, our customers build our brand. There's a difference between customer acquisition and customer retention. So we spend a lot of time trying to retain our customers, whoever we do have, and whatever goodwill we try to create in the process of customer retention comes back to build our brand. Because that word of mouth has far more value than the biggest, most expensive hoarding that I might put up in the middle of Waliganj. If I can get a customer to say 2 good things about me on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever, okay, that means far more to me than anything that I might put out as a press release, call all sorts of press if I wanted to, or put a hoarding or anything like that. So, in fact, this is the other thing that we wanted to talk about in terms of how marketing is changing over the last 10 years. Earlier, it was a one-way monologue. It's a one-way communication from the product, from the producer to the consumer. You know, you said whatever you wanted to. As we've moved along, it's become a dialogue. And it's not like you can buy advertising space the same online, the same way you buy advertising space in a newspaper. It doesn't mean the same thing. In the newspaper, again, it's like a monologue, right? You read the newspaper in the morning, there's no way that you can say anything back to them other than maybe sending an email or something like that. But in an online forum, whatever you see there, you can just put a comment right there and respond immediately. So you cannot create a brand just by being ubiquitous, just by being prolific. To create a brand, it takes time and it takes credibility. And building that credibility takes time. And that comes out of the good deeds and the transparency that we exhibit in our ethos.
People talk about digital marketing, cutting edge technology, personalized mails, and stuff which chase you, follow you, want your mind space. But I also believe some conventional methods, because marketing to a large extent has to be brand building and has to lead to sales both at the same time parallelly. Only brand building is seriously wastage of money. If it does not converts to sales, it will really be completely futile. Hence, there are a lot of effective ways, not so costly, to actually beat the heat, if at all there lies some. I don't see much of a heat, but still. There are ways and means where you can straight away meet the customer. Talking about my company like Indiabulls Ventures, we as a group, as just sir said, that we are on both sides of the coin. We are into marketing and development both. So, first of all, we keep no egos at all. Trust me. I mean, I'm okay meeting a client who's buying a probably 120 crore flat in Bombay, and I'm okay meeting a client who's buying a 12 lakh rupee flat also in Calcutta.